Marvel Comics released their July 2025 solicitations, and today I'm going to talk about 5 of those books in 5 huge takeaways, and you're likely going to hate all of this stuff. Well, actually, one of them is pretty good. But for the most part, this all feels like crap. I actually do a full solicitation analysis on the Patreon. If you actually go support us there on the Sparrow's Never-Ending Christmas Tree, you get the full layout, not only of all the books and my thoughts on them individually, but also how many books they're producing, how much it's going to cost. One of the awesome perks of Think Critical Patreon. But today, there was enough stuff that really bothered me. I wanted to get into it. And where else to start but this? Marvel Comics has truly outdone themselves when it comes to embarrassing reprints. This July, they're pushing Wolverine Revenge, Red Band Raw, Black and White Edition #1, a glorified cash grab showcasing extra blood and gore, now stripped of color so fans can enjoy every brutal pencil line. The sad part, Wolverine Revenge was hyped as one of the biggest Wolverine projects in years, bringing Jonathan Hickman and Greg Capullo together. It should have been a classic. Instead, it turned out to be the most disappointing comic of the past 5 years. A lifeless, hollow story with all the depth of a 90s action figure commercial. Marvel isn't just reprinting a failure, they're doubling down on it like it's a badge of honor. They literally did the Red Band originally, so you would have to buy the interior variant version of the comic book that you could also get that wasn't Red Band. And now we're going to push it to black and white because nothing says, oh, enjoy all this extra blood and gore, like not being in color. Wasn't that the point of the fucking Red Band to begin with? But no, we've got to squeeze this rock and see if we can get a couple more dollars out of it. But why stop there, David Gabriel? Why not just push it a little bit further and see if we can really monetize this son of a bitch? How about Wolverine Revenge, Red Band in blue, where all the dialogue and narration is blue instead of black now? It would be like a totally different reading experience if it was all done in blue. How about this one? Wolverine Revenge, Red Band in sherbet. We can just color it like it's sherbet ice cream. Just all kinds of bright pinks and orange and green and pastels all over the place. Revenge and sherbet, that's the way to go. Or how about this one? I think this might be my best idea. Wolverine Revenge, Red Band and Wonka. We'll promise 3 golden tickets within those comic books, and the lucky winners will get to go to New York and see Tom Brevoort work for the day. Of course, we're going to do 3 tickets because Marvel's too cheap to do the original 5 or whatever they did for Wonka. Wait, that's not enough. We need to get some real money out of this son of a bitch. How about this one? Wolverine Revenge, Red Band, and Absolute Foil Edition. Now, DC might have a problem with using the word absolute, but fuck it. Let's just print the entire comic book, and every page is foil. And then we could charge like $400 for one single issue of this comic book. And the worst part is, Wolverine Revenge is fucking awful. How did they mess this up? Jonathan Hickman, their only A-list writer, Greg Capullo, A-list artist, returning to Marvel Comics, his first project, going to be a big Wolverine gore fest, and it sucked balls. This book sucked so much ass. It's the most disappointing thing to probably, for some reason, I want to go back to Superman Year One. For some reason, I thought that Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. were going to be able to do something with that book, and it was just as bad, if not worse, than Wolverine Revenge. That's probably as disappointed in something I was actually looking forward to. I still can't believe this thing turned into this mess. And yes, DC are doing something very similar in July. They've got the All-Star Superman #1 work in progress. It's basically a glorified artist edition, but it's only for 1 issue. But All-Star Superman's a fucking classic. Guess what Wolverine Revenge will never be? A goddamn classic, because the story sucks. Yet, apparently they didn't make enough money off it the first time. They got to resell it to you again with another skin, this time removing the one thing the Red Band actually promised to deliver, blood and gore. It's going to be in black and white now. Or, if I have my way, it'll be in sherbet. But Marvel wasn't done with the stupid ideas, because meanwhile, Marvel is quietly admitting defeat on another front. Spider-Gwen the Ghost Spider is officially canceled at issue number 15. No shock there, Marvel has buried Spider-Man's brand under an avalanche of variant heroes: Spider-Gwen, Spider-Boy, Spider-Punk, Spider-Womans. I don't know how you do the plural on that one. To the point where even hardcore fans can't keep track. Instead of giving Gwen Stacy a real home or meaningful stories, Marvel decided to drag her into the main 616 universe and saddled her with boring cosmic nonsense. It didn't move books, it didn't expand her fan base, it just further diluted a character that probably never should have been created to begin with. another Marvel IP stripped for parts. Apparently, this version of Spider-Gwen was so unsuccessful that they're actually going to resurrect the actual Gwen Stacy in the 616 and make her Spider-Gwen. That's how fucking big of a disappointment and failure when it comes to sales this book was. No surprise there. They didn't put any talent on it, but even if they did, it's Spider-Gwen the Ghost Spider. A stupid knockoff variant character from another multiverse that has a band called the Mary Janes and nothing else interesting about the character. Yes, let's put her into the 616 because she doesn't really have a home. She's got nowhere she belongs. You know where she didn't belong the most? The 616. There's way too many Spider variants. You've got Spider-Man. Of course, you need him. But we've also got Spider-Boy, Spider-Girl, Spider-Woman, the other Spider-Woman, Aranya. What do we got? A fucking Silk? Like, how many Spider-Man characters? You still got Ben Reilly out there. And technically, he's the actual clone. Like, he's the only Spider variant there probably even should be at this point. Yes, let's bring that character in the 616. Let's put, like, Stephanie Phillips on the book. And let her cook, baby. Of course it went nowhere. I'm shocked that they let it go 15 issues. If you look at the sales, it never deserved to go past 5. What an enormous failure, but this was obviously very predictable. This is what Marvel Comics do. They just water down everything, even if it's the most important, significant character in their entire lineup. Yes, let's water down Spider-Man. Great recipe for success there. This next thing I'm going to talk about is the most incomprehensible announcement in the entire July lineup. And then there's God's One World Under Doom #1. Because if there's one thing Marvel readers have been clamoring for, it's the return of a bunch of characters no one cared about the first time. Jonathan Hickman, Marvel's last true A-list writer, couldn't even make the original God series connect with readers. Now they're handing the keys to Ryan North, tying these obscure characters into One World Under Doom, a mega event nobody is talking about. It's a perfect microcosm of Marvel's current strategy. Keep throwing random mythology, multiverse chaos, and saneless ideas on the wall and pray that something sticks. Spoiler alert, it won't. I could have guessed that they would eventually decide, let's put Spider-Gwen in the 616 and see what happens. It was a stupid idea, but it was a very Marvel stupid idea. I'm not surprised that they're trying to squeeze Wolverine Revenge for a little bit of extra money out of fans that have already paid for the book. And that feels very Marvel. Bringing back gods for One World Under Doom, no sense whatsoever. Jonathan Hickman literally couldn't make the idea work. The sales were abysmal, and it wasn't worth his time, and he moved off. Why would you bring this back for One World Under Doom? One World Under Doom is already struggling mightily, I might add. Nobody's talking about it. The people that are talking about it are kind of making fun of it because it's basically stupid. And now we've got Doom's Avengers. We've got the Doom Strike Force team. We've got the Doom this, the Doom that. They're even tying in really cool ideas like Strange Academy, Doom Academy now, and now we're going to really just scrape the bottom of the barrel and bring in gods. Was Atlas not available? At least Atlas has been around for a while, was marginally successful over there for about 15 minutes. Gods never worked. It was their own fault. They overpriced Gods #1 at like $10 or something insane like that. It was never going to be worth it. Does anybody even remember the main character's name? I remember it's Win, but that's all I remember about the story. And they're just bringing it back to bring something back because they needed to justify One World Under Doom going for 9 months. Can you believe this event is going to go on for 9 months? And Ryan North is writing gods, and it's not even going to be Jonathan Hickman. I think if one thing has been accomplished, and that's somewhat important with One World Under Doom, it's exposing that Ryan North really is the hack that we always knew him to be. Sure, he had a couple of interesting issues of Fantastic Four. That's a very uneven series, and it was never serious. It was never about adventure. It was never about any of that stuff. It was just a hijink book, basically focusing in on Johnny Storm and his stupid Fu Manchu. And now he's showing his entire ass to the world that, in fact, Ryan North can't write. There might be a glimmer of hope or a ticking time bomb with Marvel Swimsuit Special Friends and Foes and Rivals #1. For the first time in 30 years, Marvel is returning to the idea of sexy superheroes in beachwear, something that actually appeals to their real audience, men aged 25 to 50. Maybe, just maybe, Marvel finally realized who buys their books. Then again, this could just as easily turn into another LGBTQ plus showcase featuring Bobby Drake in a mankini. Cautious optimism is the best anyone can muster because Marvel's track record for self-sabotage is almost undefeated at this point. I am very surprised that Marvel Comics are even willing to consider going back and doing a Swimsuit Edition something they haven't done in a very long time, but used to be kind of a staple of what they did because they used to highlight their really sexy characters. And that really has been something you're not allowed to do that focuses too much on the male gaze. But if it focuses on the male gaze, it might be okay. And that's why I think there's a pretty good chance we get Bobby Drake and Amanda Keaty. Maybe we'll get some Somnus daydreaming about, I don't know, sexually assaulting another character. Of course, it'll all be willing after 100 years of imprisonment in the fucking dreamscape or whatever it is that Somnus does to people. If they go out there and they actually deliver something good, I think people could probably enjoy this. I don't personally care about swimsuit editions, but I know a lot of fans out there do remember them fondly. I say if you're going to go support a swimsuit edition, just go over to Udon. There's plenty of sexy characters in the Street Fighter universe, and they do that every year, and they get awesome artists on there. I have a feeling Marvel will not be putting their very best on their Marvel Swimsuit Edition first time in 30 years, but this is a 50-50 burn. It could be cool, but then again, it could be Hellfire Gala 2.0, in which case nobody wanted to see that anyway. So I guess that one's just how optimistic you want to be that Marvel Comics are actually willing to deliver something that men aged 15 to 50 might actually want to look at, because they've been pretty against it for quite some time. Now, there was one announcement in Marvel's July 2025 solicitations that is easily the most can't-miss, must-buy book out of all of them. You do not want to miss this one out. Put this on your pull list. This thing is going to be amazing. X-Men by Chris Claremont, Prelude to a Future Past, #1. While not a brand new discovery, this story originally released quietly in 2020 inside a premium hardcover edition of Days of Future Past is finally getting a proper standalone comic release. Prelude to a Future Past expands on the dystopian future made famous by the original storyline, diving deeper into the world of Sentinels, mutant concentration camps, and the grim fate awaiting the X-Men. For longtime fans, it's a rare piece of Chris Claremont's legendary work that many never had a chance to read. In a year where Marvel's new output feels hollow and desperate, the most exciting thing they're offering is a 4-year-old hidden gem from the architect of the X-Men's golden age, and that speaks volumes about the sorry state of modern Marvel, but certainly doesn't downplay how awesome it is that they're actually releasing this. And it's not just the prelude that Chris Claremont did in that special edition hardcover that they had. You also get both issues of Days of Future Past, so it ends up being 80 pages in total. I think it's $8, but it might be 10. Either way, it's worth it. You get an original Claremont story you likely have never read unless you got that special, I think it was a crowdfunded book, to be completely honest, that they threw that bad boy into. A lot of people have not ever seen it. You get that, and you get a reader copy of Days of Future Past. That's certainly my gig, and I'll be reaching out to my good friend Yul Carter, hoping that I can get my hands on a copy of that bad boy. Easily, without a doubt, the most exciting thing that Marvel Comics are putting out in July 2025. If you would like my analysis of all the solicitations, plus Marvel Comics by the numbers, how many books are they putting out, how expensive are they, how expensive are the number ones, all that kind of stuff, you do need to go over to Thinking Critical Patreon, the exclusive home for my full solicitations analysis. You not only get that for Marvel, but you get it for DC, and you get it for all the indie books as well. Hope to see you there. There's a link in the video description. There's a button right here. It's on the Sparrow's Never Ending Christmas Tree tier. Hope to see you there very, very soon.